This is Vic from Happy Leaf, and today we're going to talk about spinach. Some of you may have seen our previous videos on spinach, but we've received a lot of questions on that and some more detail that we can provide today. So we're not only going to talk about why to grow spinach indoors, but how to actually plant it, what varieties, what nutrients, what media. So there's a lot of good information we'll talk about today. What we've learned is growing spinach indoors has a lot of advantages. It tastes better, you can pick it when you want it, it doesn't bolt like it does in the summers when you grow it, but most importantly, you can grow it 12 months of the year. You can actually grow it in your basement, in your living room, and have fresh spinach all the time. It's really easy to do and it tastes great, and I can't say enough about good quality spinach year-round. Spinach can actually tolerate relatively cool temperatures. So you could grow it in temperatures as low as 40 and 50 degrees, but it will grow slower. What the real optimal temperature range would be somewhere, let's just say between 50 and 70 degrees, which is what, you know, I wouldn't say that our homes are ever 50 degrees, but your basement may be at 50 degrees. So anywhere from your basement to your living room is actually a perfect place to grow spinach. Where it can become a problem is if it gets too hot. Spinach does not like hot environments. So if you start getting into that 80 and 90 degrees, like a lot of plants, it will suffer. You know, in the past, many of us have used fluorescents for seed starting, but as we know, they don't put out very much light. You have to be really close, and you will not be able to grow your spinach with your fluorescent lights. And I think those of you that have tried that have gotten disappointed because you quickly realize that fluorescents are really a lighting of the past. The future is really LEDs, and you get much more light out of the LEDs, much better quality light in terms of the right spectrums, and you will not be disappointed with your results. So one of the most important elements in getting great growth for spinach is having the right amount of light. The photo period, or how long is it on, is really important, and even the spectrum of light. And so we here at Happy Leaf have developed a light that gives you the right amount of light, it has the right spectrum of light, and if you set it in the right height above the spinach, it will do incredibly well. So we typically recommend, this is our Procyon 2.0 light, our 17-inch version. We also have our 33-inch version, which puts out the same amount of light per area, but this is really perfect for this type of container. So in this case, we usually set it somewhere between 8 and 12 inches up, and as the plant grows, you could raise it a little bit. But basically, this is the perfect light to be able to grow your spinach all year long. So one thing that's really important, I can't overestimate it, is the need for a timer. You want 12 to 16 hours a day for your spinach growth. It's important because the photo period for spinach, if it's on too long, the plant will begin to bolt. The leaves will become smaller. We've actually grown some beautiful spinach in an off-the-grid greenhouse locally where the leaves are literally the size of my hand, and it's a cooler environment. It's probably on average 50 degrees in there, and the leaves are doing great, and it's a great looking spinach plant, and it's on for 16 hours a day. This particular nutrient blend, made by General Hydroponics, Maxi Grow, is made for vegetative growth, which is what spinach is. You're not trying to grow a fruit out of it. So in this case, the NPK values are 10, 5, 14, and then obviously there's a lot of other types of macro and micronutrients in here as well. And those are all in here at the perfect ratios for hydroponics formula. The reason we like this particular nutrient solution is that it's a one-part one. A lot of the others have 2 or even 3 parts, and it requires mixing and getting the ratios just right. this is a great one to start with because of the fact that you only need 1 teaspoon per gallon. You don't have to worry about all the other mixing to get it just right. So spinach, depending on the environment, depending on the light, typically takes about 6 weeks from the day that you put the seed into the cocoa corn vermiculite to when you're going to be able to start harvesting it. I would say 6 weeks you're going to get some of the first usable leaves. You pick the large leaves, let the ones that are below get light, and you'll get another harvest in another week or two. And sometimes you'll get up to 3 harvests. So I would say you would have at least 2 months, if not 2.5 months, from the time you plant to when you probably are going to be ready to replant new seeds. So the question of watering is a really important one. And what's nice about these self-watering containers is that it's not a difficult question to answer, because what happens is, because of the fact that you're putting water in at the bottom, the plants themselves are not wet, the roots are not wet, they're not soaking wet, I should say, they're moist, but by putting water into the bottom here, what happens is basically through osmosis, the roots will drop down and the water will actually wick its way up into the media and allow them to get the nutrients and the water that they need. So what I do is I take my finger and I literally put it in there and I see if there's water in there. If there's water there, you're good. If there's no water, you need to add water until you basically see it come to this ledge and you know that the plants are getting plenty of water and nutrients. So the one that we've been growing the most of over the last few years is, in this case, it's from Harris Seeds. It's an organic spinach called Corvair. And we've really had great luck with it. I mean, we literally get leaves the size of our hands. They taste great. They grow quickly. They tend not to bolt. Another one that we have used before, and we're going to start growing more of, is called Butterfly. This one's from High Mowing Organic Seeds, but Fruition has it. I think a variety of seed companies also have it. So this is actually a container of coconut coir and vermiculite. You can also substitute perlite. And we use a ratio of about 70% cocoa coir and then perlite and vermiculite. This is one that has been used before. I was growing a tomato in it. I removed the organic matter out of it and I am going to reuse it. There's really no reason not to reuse it. In this container, I'm actually going to grow the Corvair. So I've got about 10 seeds or so here I'm going to get. And then what I'm going to do is just use my finger and put little holes around the perimeter that are maybe about 1/2 inch deep. And then some in the middle. And I'm going to put my seeds in there individually. So I put 1 seed in each little hole. So now that I've got the seeds planted, I am going to just take my hand and cover the seeds. And the next step is to take water that has the nutrients in it. So in this case, we've got the Maxi Grow, which is a 10-5-14 formulation. And I am going to water it. So I want to water it well and get the seeds nice and wet. And after I've watered it, I'm going to let it sit for a few hours and then just come back and fill the reservoir underneath. So this is a little 14-inch Bloom, B-L-O-E-M container that's manufactured by the company in Michigan. And you could see that it's got a little opening here for watering. And that's actually where we're going to put all of our water from now on. We're always going to use nutrient water. So we're going to put a teaspoon of nutrients into the water and then keep it moist. Spinach seeds should start germinating probably in about a week or two. Sometimes, depending on temperatures and other conditions, it may take as long as 2 weeks before you start seeing the little seed pop up. In about 6 to 7 weeks, you're going to be able to start harvesting your spinach. We're going to do a little demo here in a second on harvesting as well. And what you can do is harvest the large leaves first and then let the smaller leaves that are underneath to grow. It's not that it's necessarily coming back, but what it's doing is it's allowing the leaves that are below the large leaves to get the light, and then they'll grow and you'll get several different harvests out of it. What I do is I literally start with some scissors and I start chopping away. In this case, I'm actually not going to leave any of this plant to grow back because I actually want to try some other different varieties. So I'm going to harvest pretty much everything in this container and start again. But it is so nice having high quality spinach year-round, and because of that, we started looking at a lot of different recipes. We have a new channel, and we encourage you to look on that because we're going to start posting more recipes that are related to not only spinach, but a lot of the other types of things that we grow, and then using that in your own home and kitchen.